Merseyside simply had to sit and take it. The RAF could do little to stop the waves of German bombers. Winston Churchill twice visited the area that he referred to as the front line, and was moved by the bravery and determination to win that he found there. The purple prose of the newsreel commentator was reduced to simple headlines by the full scale of destruction.
This is total war. England expects. Deafened by the roar of guns, blinded by the glare of fire, with throats choked by dust, eyes half blinded by smoke, the men and women of Britain have answered the call with their characteristic determination and courage. Liverpool's magnificent docks with the ponderous activity of its warehouses, manned by citizens who perhaps look a little sad-eyed at the pain, misery and wanton destruction of total war, have rendered a great service to the nation and will continue to do so. The citizens of Liverpool are worthy of the highest praise. Whilst remembering the tottering scorched walls and shattered windows, the broken masonry and blasted brickwork, they stick to their posts. Upon the Civil Defence Committee falls the grave responsibility of providing for the welfare of the population and the civil defence services. Among the many additional services required from the public authority is that of assisting in the national effort to produce the right food in the largest possible quantity. To the Parks and Gardens Committee belongs the onerous duty of finding the necessary land to produce homegrown food. Allotments have been laid out in many parts of the city, and people who never in their lives contemplated planting anything are now digging for victory.
Nothing was sacred. The drive was on for greens of a different sort when the local authority ploughed up the municipal golf course. It took that special kind of Merseyside courage to keep your chin up when faced with this. Total carnage and devastation. In just 1 week in May 1941, 1,700 people were killed in what is now referred to as the May Blitz. During the war, a total of 4,000 Merseysiders died in air raids.
During World War II, Liverpool was second only to London in the number of air raids it endured. This beautiful palm house lost most of its glass when a bomb landed just a short distance away. Simon O'Brien has been to see a remarkable collection of photographs showing bomb-damaged suburbia, which were found hidden away in the city's police headquarters.
My street in Liverpool is made up largely of old Victorian and Georgian houses. But every now and again, as I stroll up it, I come across gaps where there are much newer places. I've often wondered why that is. Well, an amazing archive has just been uncovered which might explain exactly why.
Many of us remember the days of 1940 and 41 when the Luftwaffe nightly visited our cities and towns, leaving fire and destruction behind.
Liverpool heard the fearful air raid sirens over 500 times, with bombs dropped on the city on no less than 79 occasions. But we wouldn't have known much more about the impact these bomb sites had around Liverpool if Merseyside police hadn't made a remarkable discovery. A package of negatives simply labelled Blitz.
There's 161 photographs in total. They have
Kate McNichol was tasked with getting this surprising new collection of negatives brought into the modern world by their forensic science department.
I was utterly stunned. It's pure chance that they came to light. The Chief Constable was maybe rather far-sighted and saying, actually, we need to keep an accurate record of what's happening. I mean, you'll get ones like this which said air raid damage, those tablets, 4cc for the Chief Constable.
Didn't they also record where each bomb had struck?
They did. It was up to the air raid wardens, as far as I know. They would then report in, and the positions of the bombs, as they would be plotted, and then they can then take action against the ones that have failed to explode.
Yes. It's almost easy to imagine like factories and the docks and everything getting attacked, but they're strategic targets. But the photos that really hit me are the ones of suburbia.
The damage was not just to industrial premises, commercial buildings. You get things like it was saying that there was destruction of 4,400 homes, serious damage to a further 16,500, and slight damage to a further 45,500.
For the first time in a great war, there was no front line, and the battle was waged on our own doorsteps. The Luftwaffe did its worst, with inhuman success.
As these images show, firefighters battle relentlessly throughout the night to extinguish hundreds of fires around the city before the next fearful wave of attack. Although the German bombers caused huge damage to Liverpool and enormous civilian casualties, in actual fact, Liverpool was able to carry on its war effort, and that's because they missed key strategic targets, such as the gasworks at the top end of the docks here on this side of the river. If they'd hit them, things would have been much, much worse.
I think it's a reflection on the fact that the ability of the aeroplanes and the crews in those days to be precise with their attack, to be precise where the bombs landed, was not anything like the precision of today. It was more, well, let's see what we can manage. That said, it was still desperately dangerous, of course.
The SS Ullapool was blown into a million pieces here in the River Mersey. It still has an impact on shipping today. So ships will not anchor out here because of what happened in the Second World War?
Yes.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. She wasn't a big ship, but the pieces are dangerous. If you drop your anchor here, obviously it goes into the mud and sand and so on, and could come back with well, it could come back with munitions that have not exploded.
I'm a massive fan of a lot of Liverpool's architecture. Look at that lovely building there behind me. And yet, here in Derby Square, in the heart of the city, where sits the glorious Victoria Monument, there is a distinct lack of it. I mean, look over here. What's that? 50s? Nothing to write home about. And then on the other side of the square, you've got the law courts themselves. I mean, how ugly does a building have to be? And finally, running around the back of the monument, you've got this 70s carbuncle. Along with this image by photographer Stuart Bale, the Merseyside police negatives give a new insight into gaps left by the Luftwaffe air raids. There's the same mix of old and new build where my dad grew up in Toxteth as in Woolton.
First one came down just over the houses there into Enid Street, and that was the closest one to us. And then the second one, was Fox Hill Street, 30 yards down there. And then a third one, Kelvin Grove, and the fourth one hit the edge of Prince's Park.
And where are you at this point? Are you in the air raid shelter?
Yeah, we're in the air raid shelter.
But you can hear, can you tell how close they are?
Oh, very, very, yes. Screaming sound as the bomb came down, and a really loud explosion. And it was a sort of a whack, and you felt the blast sort of hit your ears like that, you know.
Are you terrified?
No, not at all. I wasn't frightened at all. As an 8-year-old child, it was a bit of an adventure, actually, you know. During the raids and the bombs, the shrapnel was coming down, and there was shrapnel from bombs, and this was all over the place. We all went collecting shrapnel.
Our anti-aircraft gunners went into action.
In the chaos of war, as the bombers just wanted to unload their payload as close to the target as possible and get out of here, no building was safe from the bombing, and that included churches. St Luke's here in Liverpool city centre looks like it had a lucky escape, but looks can be very deceptive.
The building was hit by an incendiary device on the evening of Monday, May the 5th, kind of late night, just round about midnight, 1941. We interviewed a lady some years ago about her experiences of Liverpool Blitz, and she was sheltering in her cellars just behind the church on Roscoe Street. And she said about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, they heard the bells fall down the tower. And to quote her, she said, and we knew then our church was gone, which was, you know, and that must just have been awful.
But not quite gone?
Not quite gone. It's the memorial to the citizens of Liverpool who lost their lives during the Blitz.
St Luke's was not the only church hit, but it is, in my opinion, the most atmospheric reminder, with its one remaining piece of stained glass and open roof. Looking at these photographs, we can understand more about the changes in architecture across the city, recorded as moments in history due to the foresight of people working at Merseyside Police during the Second World War.
For somebody who didn't live through that era, I think it is almost impossible to imagine what it must have been like. And perhaps in some small way these photographs help to bring it back to life.
Remarkable photos.
1939. After the years of rehabilitation, it was war again, and Liverpool became the gateway to the western approaches. And this time it was a grim struggle for survival, a struggle kept alive by Britain's mastery of the seas, but a mastery that was challenged to its limits by the ruthlessness of the Luftwaffe and the German U-boats. And from a cellar in the shadow of the town hall operated the nerve center of the convoy system, which played its part against tremendous odds with the dogged courage that has always been associated with the merchant marine. Often these cargo ships were like sitting ducks for fast German raiders and U-boats, but still on they came. No fewer than 1,285 convoys arrived in Liverpool during the war, the largest consisting of well over 60 ships. Yet, despite the day and night bombing of the port by the Luftwaffe, besides the natural technical problems of coping with so many ships, there was no serious delay in docking them. At one time, there were as many as 60 ships outward and inward bound, lying at anchor at the bar. Another attack beaten off, a rare moment of respite. By the sacrifice of so many of these gallant men under the command of Admiral Sir Max Horton, the Battle of the Atlantic was won. For the first time in a great war, there was no front line, and the battle was waged on our own doorsteps. The Luftwaffe did its worst, with inhuman success. In the May Blitz alone, 3,966 people in the 4 Merseyside boroughs lost their lives, and 3,812 were seriously injured. 10,000 of their homes were completely destroyed and 184,000 damaged. A catastrophe from which it would seem almost impossible to recover.